Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be from. We welcome you to this Thread of Hope presentation that we are bringing you today on Light of the World. We are so excited that we have our own Dr. Becky, who we so respect and admire so much. She's a woman who understands mental health and is an actual expert. She is a clinical psychologist and gender mental health expert, and she works at the Gender Violence Recovery Center in Nairobi Women's Hospital. Dr. Becky is very humble, and so I will do all the praising on her behalf, but she really is an identity and known for the work that she does all over Kenya, and I believe all over Africa, and now she is coming into this side of our world because we really understand that what she carries and the knowledge that she has is very important for her to explain so that we can deal with things like this, confronting depression and anxiety, which is a very difficult thing to talk about. But yet I am finding out, Dr. Becky, first of all, welcome to the show. Michael and I are excited to have you here today again. We want to make you a permanent person here. So we love your wisdom. We love your knowledge. We love your passion to want to help people. And we thank God that you're actually doing that which you have been gifted to do. So that is a wonderful gift that God has given you. So we thank God for your life. And we believe God for many things in your life that you still have not done yet, because your talent is just beginning as far as I am concerned in what you are working with. So as I started to look at this whole entire thing of anxiety and depression, there is huge, huge need. And I am going to share some of these quotes with our audience, and then we're going to break it down. So I'm going to go through all of them at once because there are people here on right now, and we want you to understand how important this is that we are addressing this today. And if you have not shared it on your walls, please share it on your walls, because you don't know who you might be saving today. And Dr. Becky, you know that there was a time that I walked in a depression state. So this is very, very important to me. And God healed me and God helped me. And I am very passionate about using whatever it is that I had to go through in order to bring hope to other people. So I wanna go through these statistics because I think it's important. So according to the clubhouseinternational.org, and you can look it up for yourselves, 450 million people worldwide have some type of mental disorder. I want to stop right there, Dr. Becky, to tell you that these numbers are not even as they need to be. They're very low, and I'm already seeing you shake your head because I spoke with one of the psychologists that sits on our board of directors at Learning Disabilities Worldwide. He is an expert in the field as a psychologist and a neurologist, and he sees patients at the hospital setting and in private practice. And he told me these numbers are very low, but this is the best that we have. And this is what I'm going to bring to you today. Just keep in mind, 1 in 4 people around the world suffer from mental disorders, more than cancer, diabetes, or heart disease. That is something that we really need to take a hard look at, because, you know, we talk about pandemics and epidemics and everything else. This should put everybody into their toes that we got an issue. And according to the WHO, approximately 1 in 5 people in post-conflict settings have a mental health condition. Dr. Becky, I know that you are an expert in this area, so I'm sure that you are going to break it even more down. So let me continue. Now we're getting into 2020. 20.3% of the U.S. adults received any mental health treatment in the past 12 months, including 16.5% who took prescription medication for mental health, and 10.1% who received counseling and therapy. This is according to the CDC. Again, these numbers are very low. COVID-19 pandemic triggers 25% increase in prevalence of anxiety and depression worldwide, according to the WHO. And 2 of the most common mental health conditions, which we're going to talk about today and really break them down, Dr. Becky, is depression and anxiety. Cost the global economy, U.S., $1 trillion each year, according to the WHO. It's a lot of money and a lot of people who are suffering. Globally, it is estimated that 5% of adults suffer from depression, anxiety. 280 million people worldwide have depression. Look, guys, that 5% is low, but okay, we will take it for now, just to give you an idea. And during 2015 to 2018, 13.2% of adults aged 18 and over used antidepressant medications in the past 30 days. That was according to the CDC, and that was for the year 2015 to 2018. And I can't find what it is today in the year 2023, post-COVID, which has put everybody into high anxiety and depression. Anxiety disorders are the most common mental illnesses in the U.S., affecting 40 million adults, 19.1% of the population every year. That's according to the ADAA.org. And I think this is our last one. Between 13 and 18 years old. Again, this is by the ADA.org. It's a very high number to begin with, and it's even higher now. Panic disorders, which also are a part of that depression and anxiety, which Dr. Becky will discuss with us, affects 2.7. That's 6 million adults of the U.S. population, according to the ADA.org. And this final thing, which is the most sad to me, and why we're having this program, and I'm going to ask you again to share this on your wall for this very reason. Suicide is the 4th leading cause of death among 15 to 29-year-olds worldwide, according to the WHO. And that is not even the biggest number up to this date. So people, we have an issue. We have a problem. And we here at Light of the World, we will bring to you important things with one intention, that we help those who are crying out for help, and that we're letting them know what they need to do in order to help themselves. So Dr. Becky, welcome to our program. And I'm going to put up the first slide so that we can address one at a time. And you can go ahead and help us understand this 450 million people worldwide that have some type of mental disorder. And like I said, Dr. Becky, I'm not sure if these are even the correct numbers, but the latest that I could find. But I've been told by our board member that these numbers are off. They're much more than this. What do you say, Dr. Becky?
Good. I think from Kenya or from Africa is good evening. I'm very sure. Bishop Michael, I don't know from your country is evening or during the day. I know Dr. Triza, it's good afternoon, maybe.
Yes, good afternoon for me.
No,
Bishop
but
Michael.
I mean, where I'm coming from is good evening, because I'm still in the night. I'm 8 o'clock. I'm 8:18 in the night. In the evening,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. All right. It's good evening to all the viewers. And thank you so much, Dr. Teresa, for my sister. You know what I love. You know my passion. And I'm sure those people who follow me, they know issues of mental health and issues of family are at the core of my heart. And so I do a lot of research because I have huge followers and because
Yes.
that's what I do every day. And currently, I am at the far end of our country. It's on North Rift, where we have gender-based violence is high, like female genital mutilation, abuse of women is high, early marriage, underage marriage of young children. And so we are here trying to help the community and working with the government of this place and see how can we reduce even the issues of mental disorders with the people who are in this. And then this is a county where there's a lot of fight, cultural fights. I'm sure maybe Bishop Michael would understand when I talk about the cultural and traditional fights, and a lot of observing traditional beliefs, like women are nobody in such count where I am saying this because it's all known and this is where I am, and we are trying to empower women. And one of the discussion before we had today with very well-learned professionals, and they were confessing and say, as much as I am learned as a woman, I cannot make a decision on my sexual life. I cannot, because this is the way things are. I cannot make a decision on my um, salary because my husband has an overall, and that is the culture here. So we are trying to see how do we help the culture here. So that is why I'm here, and I'm here for the last 2 weeks. So I've not been in Nairobi for quite some time, and I think I told you I'm traveling, and you
Yes.
said it's okay.
Yes.
And I'm happy there is network. I was worried because it's really far. It's like uh, by the road, because there are no flights here. Even if you fly to a certain county, then you take road. By road, we take 11 hours
Wow.
from capital
Wow.
city. It's the interior of our country, but we are here to help people. All right, going back to our topic today on mental disorders and what you have asked, 450 million people. This is, I think, when this statistics was done,
So
it was quite long ago. Because if right now we do an assessment right now, and we do it in Africa, we do it in Asia, we do it in the US,
yes,
this will be like 3 times higher of
that's
what
right.
is being presented. Because currently, I can tell you there is a surge and rise of mental illnesses.
That's right, Dr. Becky.
You've talked of post-COVID. COVID affected everyone globally.
Yes.
It affected our businesses, our social life, and our economy, meaning it pushed a lot of people to mental illness.
Yes.
And now we are experiencing, because many people developed mental illnesses, and at one point they weren't diagnosed. And so now we are seeing the symptoms. And out of that, with mental illness, sometimes you may not be able to see because we develop negative coping mechanism. And so
That's right.
we are not able to see the illness. We see the coping, the negative, the behaviors.
Yes.
And so we associate people, maybe excess use of drugs and alcohol, sexualized behaviors, many negative behaviors, eating disorders, and we are all trying to cope because of the mental illness. So with such, it becomes very difficult sometimes to articulate how many people are sick. I work in a hospital myself. The fact that I work in a gender department, that is what I had in our institution, but we are in a hospital. And I can tell you from our hospital is that half of the patient who come with illnesses, normal illnesses, if we do, because we do some screening, most of those they are associated to mental illnesses.
Wow.
And I'll be discussing that when we come to depression and anxiety. So I just wanted to give a background that whatever posted here, whatever we've seen online, and some of this data are before COVID.
That's right. That's right.
And so until, yeah, and WHO, or what you're calling WHO, they tried to bring data of COVID, but they were not up to speed. And I'm sure they'll be publishing data rate alone of post-COVID and mental illnesses. And even if you look at, yeah, over to you. You wanted to say something?
I mean,
Michael?
you see, this program, Light of the World, please, as you are on, I wanted to share, invite somebody. We have only 11 viewers. We want to hit about 25 to 30 viewers, because this is a situation where it is recorded. Now, looking at the statistics which actually came, I believe that the statistics which is being put on is an old review of stats. Because right now, in Africa as a continent, I would personally say that we have almost about 1 billion. You see, right from the top of the political figures to the lowest person, everybody is depressed.
That's right.
That's very
they have anxiety. So now, looking at Africa as a whole, looking at Asia continent as a whole, looking at the East, the Europe, it makes me believe that those brain researchers should go back and do critical analysis, because the figures over there is less. It is way big. It's less, because if you look at what is happening right now, genetically, genetically over 80 million people are depressed and they have anxiety. And with hormones, we haven't about people who actually, that is what we call emotional something. People who actually deal with emotional stress and anxiety and depression. There are people who have not come out to express them, and we have no data of them.
That's right, Michael.
And also, we have to just consider about the seasonal change aspect that causes anxiety and depression, that put people in mental state. And we have to also come to the point of, I'm dealing with the stress and the trauma issues when these things happen. So that's why I say that I would just encourage those researchers to go more deeper, because genetically, they've not been able to cover every aspect. And when it comes to hormones, which is emotional something, people have, that's what somebody would say, that this is a swing mood. No, nothing causes swing mood. Something triggers a swing mood. And also, and those, as Dr. Becky says something about substance use, those people who are depressed regularly, dealing with tobacco, dealing with smoking, drinking, and that kind of Halloween and whatever, narcotics. All these things are a form of depression. So if they want to sit down and do calculations, we will come back to the fact that about 90%, I would say this, and let me put a 10% like people who know God and have accepted Christ as their Lord and personal Savior, and they are looking unto Jesus, and their hope is built on the solid rock. Those are the people I will classify as the 10% of the population of the world who actually are standing strong because they know and believe and trust in God. Because educationally, people are stressed out. And recently, not about a few years ago, we see children carrying pistols of their fathers to the school and killing other school kids. This is what we call an eyesore. So I believe that those who are making research, and they should go deeper. And also, to say a little bit before I hand over to all of you people, and these two beautiful men to just get in the scene. I believe that this is one of the programs that we have to dive deep, because it's a daily issue life. And sometimes people can go through depression without even knowing that they are even depressed. So now, My question that I would put on which Dr. Becky should just help me if Dr. Teresa also come in. So now, in the first place, we should be able to understand what anxiety and depression is all about.
Okay, thank you. Actually, that is where I was coming. I was just giving a breakdown. Now, I want to give a description of depression and anxiety in a layman's language. You know, not in research, educative. So depression is about sadness, excessive feeling of sadness, sadness and loss of interest. So that is depression, and I'll come back there. Anxiety is persistent or excessive feelings of fear and worry.
That's right.
Excessive. And when I say layman's language, I want everyone to understand that when we talk about depression, we are talking about loss of interest. We are talking about excessive persistent sadness. So you feel sad. And how do you know that you are going through depressive moment? And before I go there is also something that we call clinical depression.
That's right. That's right. Who froze?
I'm sorry. I think I got lost. I'm sorry.
I think that we froze.
Can you hear me?
For whatever reason. Are you there? Okay. You see, are we? Is it Dr. Becky the froze?
No, it's us.
It's us the froze. Okay. I don't know what's going
Can
on.
you
We're
hear
having
me?
issues here. Yeah, it's not you, Dr. Becky. For whatever the reason, it seems that it's us who has this issue today. So we should be praying that because this is an important topic, and there we lost Michael. Okay, so Dr. Becky, what you just said is very, very important, and I think we all missed some of the things that you said. So depression is a state where you feel what? And that is the last thing that we heard you say.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so depression is a state where you feel loss of interest and increased or excessive feelings of sadness.
That's right.
And feelings of hopeless.
That's right.
Worthless.
That's right.
And you feel, sometimes you also feel like you have the don't care attitude.
That's right.
Because you are empty from inside.
That's right, Dr. Becky.
And I said, how would you know this? That there is a change immediately. And I'm going to use the description that is there in the manual or the Bible that we use as psychologists. It's called, just like the Christian, we benchmark our roadmap from the biblical point of view. Even for us as psychologists, by the time we say that you have depression, we also have our manual. It's called DSM-5, Diagnostic Statistics Manual.
Yes.
According to DSM-5, and now we are in 5. I know 2 years back we were in 4, but now currently what we are using is 5. This is what it describes, that if you feel 5 or 6 of these signs that I will mention for persistent for the next 2 weeks, you should be looking for help. First of all, when you feel, sorry?
I'm sorry. I said we're going to put them down because I'm in agreement with everything that you just said. So go ahead.
So you start feeling you have lost interest of the things that you loved or you liked to do.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, you have lost interest. And the interest goes for 2 weeks, persistent. Actually, sometimes they say 6 days, persistent. Your sleeping pattern have changed of late. You are either sleeping too much or insomnia. You're not sleeping at all, or you have disturbed sleeping pattern. Your eating pattern has changed. You no longer eat, or you're eating too much and you're not eating the right food. You start feeling hopeless. Like there's nothing, you can't see future. There's nothing that matters. You're always fatigued. So you have no energy to do anything. You have the anger outburst, something small. And that is not how you were initially. Anything happening or something small triggers anger outburst. And then you have the feeling of sadness. And we talk about adults, your libido goes down. Lack of sexual libido. If you go through those that I've mentioned and many more, out of that, if you see that you have 3 or 4, it is time to ask for help. Because if you don't get help at that point, what we are saying, you may now graduate to a clinical depression. And now the bad thing with the clinical depression is that before you get to clinical depression, you can be able to deal with that through psychotherapy, prayers, of course, for the Christian. We literally encourage Christians on prayers or spiritual journey. Doing what you love, like listening to good music, going for a walk, trying to look for something that can make you happy, even forcing yourself to wake up, even when you feel like you don't want to wake up. So at that stage, but if you go beyond that stage, it may be psychotherapy and medication. And that's why we say it's good to look for help now when you feel those signs. So the other thing is anxiety. So for anxiety, we said it's about worry and fear, where you have extreme fear and worry of what will happen next, even when you have not tried. Even when we have told you to come here and present something, you start trembling. You start sweating. Those are some of signs of worry and fear. And you also can't see future. There's heartbeats, because most of my patients that I have talked to who had panic attacks, it started with anxiety.
That's right. It starts with anxiety. That's right.
Yeah, it started with trembling, feeling weak, feeling tired, Also the outburst, even having those weird dreams. And so you wake up and you feel you're shaking, the whole body. Everything is worry, worry, worry. So again, you need to look for help, because if you don't look for help, like I've said, it progresses to become attacks, especially panic attacks. Okay.
No.
Yes.
Finish what you were saying, because I was going to ask you a question, but finish what you were saying, please. Go ahead.
Yes. I wanted to say, and I'm sure people who are watching are asking, how do I develop depression and anxiety? At what point? And I always say there are several contributors to depression. I know the most common is environmental stressors.
That's right.
Like what we are talking about here, post-COVID, work, money, family issues, divorce, parenting, all those environmental stressors are the most common when it comes to depression, anxiety. And I always say this before I give you, because I'll come back with some other contributors. I always tell people depression is about our past.
That's right.
We think a lot about our past, or if I go through this, what about maybe it's my mother, maybe our childhood, our traumas and all that. Anxiety, we get worried about what will happen. What will happen tomorrow? What will happen? We get worried. What will people say? What will, and let me talk to Christians, because I have both experiences. Dr. Teresa, I'm in secular because my work, and as a person, I'm a Christian as a person, and that is not a value I impose to my clients, But my value personally, my value as a Christian, I always see Christians. The Bible is very clear that if I don't know the verse, I always tell you people, Bishop Michael and Dr. Teresa, don't ask me where the verses are, but I know what the Bible says.
You just need to know it. You don't need to say where it is.
I do not know. But I know there's somewhere the Bible talks about if God can feed the birds, right? Why should we get worried? I know there's somewhere like that. So I guess for me, it says, if we can put our trust and hope in him,
that's right.
Even our tomorrow is sorted, because he sorts even the birds. Yeah, let me give it to you. Then I can come back later on and also bring what are some of other contributors. Over to you, Dr. Teresa and Bishop Michael. And don't laugh at me because I don't know the verse. Please do not laugh at me, but I know there's something in the Bible.
We're not laughing at you, Dr. Becky. I have an issue remembering certain Bible verses exactly where they found too. So this is, I have those though, but here's Matthew 26:27. This says, look at the birds of the air, for they neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not more value than they? Which of you by worrying can add 1 cubit to his stature? And of course, this talks about that anxiety and that fear situation. So Dr. Becky, I want to give credit, no, not credit, but validity to what you just said, because it is 1000%. I mean, I know that Eliana had the 7 or 8 of them up on the screen before, so maybe she can throw them up again, because I can tell you that what you said, all of these things about actually about what Dr. Becky said when she counted them 1 through 8, what those things that people were feeling were, the symptoms, I should call them what they are, the symptoms. You lost interest in things that you love to do. Dr. Becky, after my divorce, and I feel it's important because I want to connect with the audience. The audience need to know that there is hope. That after, for me, it was something terrible happened in my life, and it was my divorce. And I never got married to get divorced. That was never part of my plan. And then all of a sudden I find myself in a divorce situation. And then, it was out of control. It was not something that my whole life fell apart. And this is exactly what happened to me. I lost interest of the things that I love to do. Suddenly I couldn't go to work, and suddenly I could not do, which is my job, which I absolutely love to do. And, one of the things that I do is that we publish research. I am a co-editor of 2 very respected peer-reviewed journals in the field of education. And we cover anxiety and we cover depression, because people who have learning disabilities also suffer from depression and anxiety. And you know that, being a clinical psychologist. So I loved to get that, and I couldn't do it. And so just bring them all up again, Eliana, as I talk about them. My sleeping pattern completely changed because I could not sleep a night. The night was the worst because I couldn't stop those thoughts that were coming in my head. But this is what was in my past. And now this past is gone. And now I have to go into the future. I don't know what this future is going to look like. So my eating patterns, for me, I stopped the eating. Thank God. Otherwise, God only knows, I would have gotten even more depressed if I had gained those sorts of weight. For me, I just completely stopped eating. I couldn't eat. Did not make things easier. And all I found myself doing was exercising 24/7. I exercised because I couldn't stay still, just to give you this picture, Dr. Becky, because I believe the people here are in the shoes that I was in. And I want to let you know that I am fine and you are going to be fine as well. We had just put in cherry wood floors in our home, and I had an open floor. So kitchen, dining room, family room, kitchen, the eating area, the entranceway was all open. And you know something, Dr. Becky? I did not even know that I left my footprints there. The house got sold, and they called me. The owner called me and he asked me a question. He said, there's something here that we do not understand. What happened here? Because there is a line that goes all around that has been faded. Somehow it became faded. What happened there? And I broke down and I started crying because I knew exactly what that was. It was me walking. I couldn't stop walking. I walked like 6, 7, 8 hours a day in a straight thing. And I left my footprints on that floor. Do you even believe that? And the feeling of hopelessness. I was in a pit. I couldn't bring myself out of that pit. And you see there, Dr. Becky, everything that you talked about here, I can validate by what happened to me. And it took me a good 3 to 4 years to actually come forth. And the Lord saved my life by telling me, go ahead, get up and do what I called you to do. That's when Thread of Hope was started. And that's the reason why we're here. And it's Thread of Hope that is bringing light of the world. So this, I don't want to lie to anybody. I want to let you know that bad things happen, but God can still use the bad things, and he heals us. And thank the Lord. For me, I did not need medication, and I never went to see a psychologist. But Dr. Becky, I want you to cover this. I had strong people around me. They didn't leave me alone. They took the time. They called me in the middle of the night. They prayed for me at 2 and 3 in the morning. They counseled me. They told me everything was going to be okay, that I was going to be okay. So Dr. Becky, I want you to talk about the importance of people, being around people that will force you to kind of see where you're at and bring the word of God and bring the counseling, bring all that kind of stuff, because that's really important for us to discuss. And I really would like for you to please help us understand this. I never had any anger outbursts. Thank God that's the only thing that I did not have, except for, yes, I was angry at my ex-husband for putting us in that situation. But that sadness, it was too much for me to bear. Enough where I will not look in a mirror. And I've mentioned this before, because I could see that my countenance had changed. And I understood that. I looked in that mirror and I got more depressed. So I am given credibility by what happened to me to everything that you said there, Dr. Becky. And I know I'm exposing myself. So I know that, but I'm doing it on purpose because I want people to understand why it is important that we're having this conversation and what is it that we have to do now. Can you please give us, and we'll break them down from depression to anxiety. So can we give now some things that people need to do, like strong things, because they got to help. It's hard to help yourself when you find yourself in this situation. But what are some things that they can implement right away that will help them? Can you give us some information, please? If I made any sense.
Actually, you made a lot of sense. And Dr. Teresa, it takes courage to dance naked in front of people.
That's
right. And I tell people, you see, like what you're doing, and I don't mean to remove clothes. I mean, you are dancing your life naked.
Yes.
And you're dancing naked because you went through and you got healing.
Yes.
And you see, you can talk without breaking down. That is how you know you're feeling better. When you can share your story, you can dance naked in front of people for people to know, yes, I can go through this. It's doable, and I can get back to my life again, you know?
Yes.
And one of the things that I want to encourage people, including us, is that we are living in such a difficult moment and times.
That's right.
So possibilities, however strong you are, the times that we are very hard. So there are possibilities of even slipping into depression without knowing. And so we are saying we are there. So you can't just die there. There are things that you can do. And I said, one of the things that can help you, and I tell people the first phase that can help you, is to speak out.
That's right.
You may speak out to a therapist. You may speak out to a trusted friend. You may speak out to something. See, a book and a pen.
That's right.
Where you write what you're feeling. Because what you're doing, you're bringing that pain out.
That's right.
And that is the first journey to your healing.
That's
Bringing the pain and facing your pain. And that's what many people call it journaling.
That's right. That's
And it's
right.
like, and when you're journaling, sometimes people don't want music, maybe loud noise. But what I have also seen helping, you can decide to have that cool music and do a walk. As you walk, there's something happening in your brain. And remember, it is your brain that has been injured. So by the time you do, I know, you see, when you have depression, remember we said some of the symptoms is you are tired.
That's right.
So you get tired even getting out of bed. Even getting out of your door is work. Anything is work. And that's how we encourage, and I'll encourage people to develop an inner strength, however small it is. Even if you will get to you will walk for 2 or 3 minutes, but just do it.
That's right.
Just do it, even if it's crawling, because it's a lot of work. It will help. And the other thing is asking yourself, what did you like initially? Try to do. Then the best thing, and Dr. Teresa, you've talked about the support system. Who are the people who are surrounding you?
Yes.
Who are holding your hands? At that point, when you're depressed, it's very easy to go to a negative coping mechanism.
That's
Because
right.
what happens, depression, maybe next time because of time, we'll talk about some of the reasons or some of them contributors to depression. And one of them is the alteration of chemicals. You know,
Thank
chemicals like serotonin and
That's right.
dopamine.
That's right.
Dopamine is very critical
That's right.
because it's a happy hormone.
That's right.
And so if when you're depressed and dopamine is not functioning, possibility if you don't have a good support system, because what support system does, it increases your dopamine as they give you good messages, they check on you, they pray with you, they do good things. If you don't have that good support system, then you may look at other negative coping mechanisms. That is how you find yourself, maybe you are abusing drugs, alcohol, and everything because you want
Bad
to raise your
behaviors.
dopamine.
That's right.
So I always encourage people to avoid such triggers that will trigger our hormone. Even taking medication to help you sleep, you will, because of depression, you may find yourself you are addicted to them.
That's right, Dr. Becky. Thank you for saying that. That's right.
Very true. But bottom line is the support system. And now when you understand it's your dopamine that is raw, let's see what else can help that dopamine. I've said support system, listening to good music, walking, writing down your feelings, if possible, visiting a therapist.
Yes.
where possible. Prayers help for Christians.
That's right.
You know, prayers would help at that point. And at this point, I always say, what I have seen working for me now, for me as Becky, at that point of my low, I don't feel like praying. I just sit down and talk to God
That's
and tell
right.
God exactly how I am feeling.
That's right.
That I'm feeling so bad because I'm alone. I'm a mother who is by herself, who has 2 kids, and I have to meet their needs. See, the money I have is not even enough, you know. And I tell him, and by the time I leave the place I was talking to, I start feeling. I may not have the money right now, but I still feel. I start feeling something good, you know. So talking, because even praying is hard work when you're depressed, but when you talk to your heavenly Father, it helps at that moment of depression. I know we don't have time. Maybe we'll talk about anxiety in our next episode.
That will be fine. Dr. Becky, I just want to say that yeah, we still have 15 minutes, but I'm going to have you continue in this depression.
Oh, all right. I'm sorry. I think I was looking at my watch.
No. We started late. We started late. So please continue. You know, Dr. Becky, the support system is very important. Not every person that's within your circle is going to turn out to be who they once were, because they may not be able to handle what you're going through. That was the hardest thing that I had to accept, because when that divorce happened, all of a sudden, the friends that were a part of our lives, they disappeared. Now I can tell you that the people who helped me get through were people that I never had met before. One of them I still have not helped, but met. But one of them was my friend Amelia, and the other one was my friend Jillian. Jillian was in Jamaica, and I remember she would sit with me during the day and pray with me and just hear me cry. I would cry, she would listen. And then she would pray over me. And then she would say, you know, Teresa, why don't you try to do this? The other person would call me in the middle of the night because she was in the United States. And you see, Dr. Becky, those women saved my life. And I believe in giving honor where honor is due. They saved my life. And there was another man that lives in Saudi Arabia, and he's a pilot. And when he flew here to Boston, we were friends, you know, and we went out to dinner one night, and he looked at me in the middle of that dinner, and he looked at me and he said, Teresa, what in the world is going on? He said, I can't stand to look at you this way. Please, Teresa, please get help. Get help. Those words out of his mouth, and I wrote about this publicly on Facebook before, and I mentioned his name. Mayor was the person that also, I had to look at myself. When I went home, I looked at myself, and I remember when he dropped me off at my house, and he said, please, Teresa, please, I beg you, please, please help. Get help. I really don't like what I'm seeing in front of me. See, he spoke out, and he did it in a way that was kind. He was kind to me. He was concerned, and he gave me that courage that I needed to be like, okay, now I really got to look at this. And you know, Dr. Becky, not everybody, my friends that were my friends prior to my marriage are no longer my friends. It's very sad to say, but nobody bothered to check on me. Nobody bothered to ask, are you okay? Can we pray for you? And that's the problem within the Christian community, you understand? Because this divorce is a taboo. That's what sent me into a spiral of depression. It was my own family that even were like, what will the people say? That was what I heard. What will the people say? As if I had done some horrific thing that I was no longer good. I was no longer respected. I was no longer this part of the family of God because something bad happened to me. And that is what I don't want anybody here to ever feel. I make myself available to you. You can send me a message. I will be more than happy to reach out and help and support and do anything that I gotta do to help, because I have been there, and it was strangers that pulled me out. And Dr. Linda, who's now gone to be with the Lord. I mean, that woman, these people, Dr. Becky, I cried for hours on end on the phone crying, and they listened. That's what they did. They listened, and at the end, there was a prayer. There was a word of encouragement. There was, okay, Teresa, you feel like this today, but tomorrow you'll feel better. So the support system cannot be somebody that will continue to dump on you. If they continue to say, this is terrible, oh my God, that you're not going to be healed. So this is where you have to be selfish, and you have to cut it off. You cut off the people, they're going to bring you even more down. It's a terrible thing, but you got to do it to save yourself, because people that love you are going to encourage you. They're going to say, okay, it's happened. You got a divorce. You're not the first, and you will not be the last. Just let's move on with life. Does it make sense what I just said? I mean, I don't know. Is that the good advice to give our people? This support system must be people. They're going to support you at the moment. They cannot down you when you're in the dumps.
Wow. I want to say 100%. You're correct. 1,000, if not 100. First of all, I want people to understand that people are very judgmental.
That's right.
And the people who are judging you, they already have their own problems.
That's right.
And they make us get worried of them, yet they have their own problems.
That's
the people
right.
that are judging us. And until we get to a point where we realize it has happened. I've lost a job. I've lost a marriage. And this is beyond me. And there's something I keep on, because I know, Dr. Teresa, you really follow me. Last time I did an article of where you still can be a very good Christian, a divorced good Christian.
That's right.
But because of the lie that and socialization, and this cuts across all women, whether in Africa or in Asia or
Whatever.
in US or wherever,
That's
there's
right.
that feeling that you're not complete if your marriage is not good or you don't have a partner.
That's right.
And that is what holds us back. And we choose to stay in abusive relationship, develop mental illness, depression, and anxiety, with the fact that this, whatever is happening is bad, but I cannot move because people will judge me, because I will be seen like not a good woman, not a good Christian, until we get to a point where, and that's why today I wrote, your relationship with God is the most important.
That's exactly right.
But we get bothered, and that's how we get anxiety with the relationship with people. That Dr. Teresa will not love me if I am not a Mrs. So when it gets there and the marriage have failed, you've lost a job, of course you feel bad.
Yes.
It is painful.
Yes.
I know it. I know it. I'm not talking about books here. I'm talking about real life. I know how painful it is to lose a partner, and especially in Africa, and especially a Christian like me who is a church leader.
Yes. That's right.
And everyone is wondering, don't you pray? What have you done? Everyone is, what have you done? Nobody comes to ask you, what have you been going through?
That exactly.
And so, yeah. And people judge you from their head, not from what they know.
Exactly.
And so at that point, I say it's good to feel that pain, feel the emotions, feel them. And you have to go through 5 stages if you have to feel. If you have to heal, you must go through denial, anger, depression, blame, until you get to acceptance.
Thank you for saying that, Dr. Becky.
Anger with yourself, anger with God, anger with your partner, anger with everyone.
That's right.
You know, blaming yourself. What could you have done better? What, even if you are the one who, you have to go through all that. And for your healing, you must accept to heal, to feel the pain, to go through the emotions. Even when you come for therapy, we have to take you through all those 5 stages
That's right.
so that you heal, and you heal from depression. Because if you don't heal, you will develop depression and anxiety. So you will always be in a position of worry and fear, such that you are not able to do something for yourself. Personally, I never knew I can get to the space I am today.
That's right. Me neither.
Because I thought I have someone providing for me. So I can't be able to provide for myself or for my children. But when you deal with all those pain and anger and depression, you realize you're equally enough. But before you get there, it's a whole journey.
I loved what you just said, that it's a whole journey. And the good news, Dr. Becky, we're out of time, but you're going to come back, not next week, but the following week. We'll bring you back if it's within your schedule to do so, because to do just a one show when you just said the 5 stages of denial, anger, depression, pain, and acceptance. We got to go through it. That's all there is to it. Until God said to me, accept what has happened. Accept what has happened, forgive, and move forward, which is what I had to do. But I did what God told me to do. And I am grateful for the opportunity that we get. You see, when the Lord heals us, right, Dr. Becky, because we all have things in our life, there is pain. Everybody, there is not one person that does not have a situation that has brought them pain, but we don't stay in that pain. And we move forward with the help of God and with the help of the people that he puts around us to guide us and lead us and bring us to where we need to be. Because life is precious. Life is awesome. And life is just what we should be living. We should be living life, and we should be living life to the fullest, because the word of God says that bad things happen to good people and to bad people. It rains on the just, and it rains on the unjust. You know what? I lived my life the way I needed to live my life. And yet this disaster happened to me. But I have made a decision, Dr. Becky, and I want everybody here to hear me. Does not matter what anybody has to say about you, because your self-esteem and who you are as a person relies in the hands of God and no human being. Doesn't matter what anybody has to say. Let them talk at the end of the day. Let them talk. All I can do is live my life that pleases God and allow the Holy Spirit to move in and through me to accomplish all of the purposes and plans that he has for me. And I thank the Lord that he allowed me to walk through a bad time so that I can come here with confidence, with God's confidence, and say to everybody here, it's okay. It's going to be okay for you too. See, I'm okay. You're going to be okay too. So, Dr. Becky, thank you for joining us today. Dr. Bishop Michael, he's working on his doctorate, so pretty soon we'll be calling him Dr. Michael. But Bishop Michael lost connection, and that's the reason why he left the program, just so that everybody knows. In the meantime, will you please share this video with people, because Dr. Becky is wise. She walks in that field. She knows what she's talking about. And when we come back in 2 weeks from today, we will discuss the anxiety. Well, first of all, we're going to finish off the 5 denials, because I think we have to walk the people through that. In the meantime, you can reach out to people who you know are walking through a difficult time. Let them see this, because if they see this, they'll connect. You know what we want to do? We want to break the isolation that people who walk with depression and anxiety feel. They can break the isolation when they can connect themselves to another person. That's why I was personal here today, which I didn't tell Dr. Becky that I was going to share that. But Dr. Becky, we appreciate you. We absolutely adore you. You are a woman of great strength, great character, great integrity. When people come to you, you have a love for the people. Your desire is to help people grow and heal from things that have not happened. Whether they did it on purpose or whether it was done unto them, you love people, and that is what God has called you to do. And we're proud of you, and we thank you for dedicating really your life to saving others. So we want to thank you for being on the program. I also want to thank Citro Company, who is responsible for bringing Light of the World to you. And just remember that everything that is purchased a Citro company goes 100% into doing this, so that our life matters. What God allowed me to go through, he's allowing me to showcase his love. I am mirroring the love of Jesus Christ, the love of God, and how he healed me and how he placed me in high positions right after that. Dr. Becky, I'm not bragging or anything like that. I just want to show the goodness of the Lord to the people. I earned 2 PhDs and a doctorate, and Manda University got opened, Citro Company got opened, Thread of Hope got opened, Light of the World got opened, Global Manda got opened, all because of what has happened to me. And God said, no, there is still a lot of things that you need to accomplish and do for me, and I am going to heal you. What God has done for me, he's going to do for you. That's the bottom line. And that's what I want you to understand. And there's a lot more things that God is going to use, in my life to do what he has called me to do. So I don't want anybody here to feel hopeless. You may feel that way, but I'm telling you that God is going to heal you. And if you put into practice what Dr. Becky has described here, then you are going to be just fine. So we will see you again. Next week, we're going to talk about friendships next week. And then the following week, Dr. Becky will come back and she will continue with finishing the part of depression. And we're going to talk slowly and make sure that everybody gets it so that you're helped. Dr. Becky, thank you so much for being a part of today's show. And we appreciate your kindness and your love for wanting to see everybody live in that place of hope, joy, and good health. So thank you.
Sure.